2.7 billion people in the world currently do not have access to electricity. And 60 million of them are in Bangladesh, which means this 60 million Bangladeshis and 2.7 billion people in the world do not have access to information for skill enhancement and business opportunities. We want to solve this problem starting with Bangladesh. Why Bangladesh? Because in this country, there is an infrastructure of 5 million solar home systems already installed. However, the 5 million solar home systems are not being used to its full potential. The amount of electricity that is amount of energy that is being lost per day is this incredible number of 600,000 kilowatt hour. What does 600,000 kilowatt hour really mean? Well, it means you can take a Tesla Model S and go around the earth 100 times. Or you can also, using this energy, power 50,000 more people per year. We want to tap into this surplus energy. If you look at the people who are living in the dark, the energy cost can go from $3.5 per kilowatt hour to $10.5 per kilowatt hour for light and mobile charging. But people who are living in privileged areas, urban areas, they're spending only about $0.1 per kilowatt hour. We want to solve this problem by connecting the people who have solar home systems and those who don't have solar home systems but want to access energy by creating a grid using in their households, so that the people who have a surplus of energy can sell it to the people who have a deficit of energy. That way we distribute the energy better. And it is based on an IoT-enabled technology through which we are collecting real-time data to find user insights to improve our user experiences. As we are increasing in number, we have 15 grids currently up and running, serving about 3,500 people, providing access to energy to them. And as we are seeing an increase in number of people, we're also seeing an increase in the number of energy entrepreneurs. So think of Bimal Krishna Das as an example. He had a large amount of surplus energy, and he runs a medicine store in the village marketplace. But he was skeptical about hooking up his solar home system to the grid. However, when he learned from his neighbors that he can make money off of it, he immediately became from a skeptic to an entrepreneur of energy. This is how we want to change the scene of energy and access to information. Thank you so much for your attention, and I would like to invite the founder and CEO of the company on the stage for the Q&A.
Okay, the first question, please.
Okay, how much is the cost for the installation, system to get it on the grid?
The installation cost?
Yeah.
So the smart metering device that we sell to the households are 2,000 taka per box, which is about $15.
Okay.
And the installation cost is on us.
Okay.
You mentioned that you are getting funds from angel investors in your application. Now, usually they expect high return and quick return, and I don't think this is going to be that.
You would be surprised the response from the investors to this model, because they look far beyond the global south perspective. What Tamanna was saying, we're starting out in Bangladesh. So consider this the Airbnb of the energy world. In the future, the energy sector will be very decentralized, which means we have solar panels popping up on households. We even have storage popping up in our houses. So the algorithms we program how to exchange electricity in the villages of Bangladesh will be the same algorithms, with machine learning empowered, obviously, in Bangkok, in Singapore, in Frankfurt, or in New York. Even our competitors are hailing out of New York, out of Melbourne, and so forth. So it's really about how to move electrons in the future. It's no longer what is the cost of generation, is it solar, is it coal, or whatever. It's like in the telco industry, we see the same disruption happening in the energy industry, which means who moves the electrons and how. And this is a model how, just that we can leapfrog in a global south country at a cost which is unseen by our competitors in New York or in other countries, where they fiddle around in a regulatory sandbox with a couple of hundred households, whereas we can work with a couple of thousands in Bangladesh, or 10,000s rather.
A couple of questions. One, very, very beautiful presentation, wonderful concept. What will you need to scale this up by 1,000 times? Right? So that's question one. And two, how do you really generate awareness among people for really community peer-to-peer grid sharing model?
So first of all, we need to work on our research teams so that the technology itself is robust enough that we can gain trust of people. And we have to be able to compete with our local and foreign competition. So one of the big steps that we're going to take next is how to connect our grid to the national grid so that we don't lose market as the national grid comes to the off-grid regions that we're operating in right now. Yeah.
What if you say you have to distribute through solar home system distributors? So if in a country that there is not so many of these, how are you going to do that? I mean, where next after Bangladesh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe just to amend a little bit on this, we have our customers in Bangladesh have 3.5 million systems, just in terms of scale. If we work with those and scale up, that'll be fine. We have partnered up with some Indian entrepreneurs by now. We are starting the first installation next month in Assam, where again, we piggyback on existing resources. That's kind of the philosophy of the company. Now, if you say you go into an area which is completely virgin, which means there's nothing, the beauty of that is, of course, in terms of planning, we have much more degrees of freedom, how much generation's there, where our software can really play its strengths. But of course, it takes our core strengths, which is a minimum CapEx. The main problem of these models is usually CapEx, which is not recovered. In our case, we really piggyback not only on solar home systems, we also piggyback on infrastructure, which means our core customer in Bangladesh has 7,000 field staff. If we were to do this, we would need 5 years to get anything off the ground. I think that's building on existing resources is really one of our core competencies, which is why we kind of shy away from areas where there's nothing. And also probably when there's nothing, there's a huge dispersity, which means very remote, but also very much distance between the houses, which is a killer for our kind of grid setup. So it's not a golden bullet, but I think it's a very good solution for a lot of areas.
What do you see yourself maybe 1 year from now?
Sorry,
1 year from now?
20 years.
1 year from now?
1 year from now. 1 year from now, we have 100 grids popping up in Bangladesh, which is already signed and done. Another 50 grids in India, which is also already agreed to. We're just in the final step of finishing our A-series round, so we have the finance to go there. So 1 year is a very short time frame. We're largely looking in 5-year terms. But